Hello and welcome back to another ProGuides Wild Rift video. My name is Nathaning and we here at ProGuides asked ourselves if Wild Rift needs more diversity. Do you feel like meeting the same champions over and over again in your games? More so, every single one of them just feels way stronger than all the other champions? Lee Sin, Akali, Evelynn, Katarina, and Galio again and again, every single game. Wild Rift deserves more variety. The most frequent changes that we are seeing are newly released champions that feel very broken in terms of balancing. The most common thing that happens in reality is that the top champions are replaced by other champions that also happen to be a little bit too OP. I wouldn't really call that variety, but we are faithful that Riot Games will address this issue sooner than later. However, for now, champion variety, especially in high elo, feels rather stale. For quite some patches now, we've seen the same champions being picked in the same roles. And outside of literal one-tricks and higher elo, you'll always see the same champions. These champions just do everything better than other champions in every possible way. To address this issue, Riot has to take action in a faster manner than they're currently doing. They're doing a good job in terms of trying to balance the game, but they need to just step it up a notch and make the game even more enjoyable. For now though, you can make an argument that every role has 3 champions that you can pick nearly all the time. However, blind picking any of those may result in you getting slapped in the face with a champion that deals magnificently with your champion choice. Let's look at this for example. You can blind pick Katarina and hope that due to the nature of solo queue, you'll be presented with plenty of opportunities to kill the enemy laners. Nevertheless, what happens if the enemy picks Galio? Galio recently received a nerf, which is a step in the right direction, but it doesn't really fix his core issues. He can so brutally annihilate a wave without even caring about anything else. His level of wave clear is even stronger than Aurelion Sol's pre-nerf. So why is he so strong when Aurelion Sol was explicitly nerfed for that reason? From our perspective, nerfing this ability to clear waves would be a good way to deal with him being so oppressive and safe in lane, similar to the nerfs that Aurelion Sol received earlier. To put more emphasis on why we think it's a problem to release OP champions back to back is the removal of counterpicking in general, which is a loss of skill expression. Currently, you can always blind pick Galio and there's no real answer to that pick. But who was able to deal with Katarina before Galio was released? Yes, you were able to easily outlane her in terms of gold income, but none of the champions were able to actually face check her in the fog of war. Literally any champion apart from sturdy tanks are unable to follow her. The reason is simple. Once you get too close, you'll just die. And once you've died once to Katarina, it's gonna be GG for your lane. And with that lane being over, you've just lost agency and you can never pressure the Katarina anymore. She may instantly clear the wave and then just leave towards any lane of her choice. Believe me, you've all seen this happen and you'll hate it when it happens. Katarina leaves towards a dragon lane and you briefly hear the words enemy double kill. You already know that even if it's outside of your realm of possibilities to do anything, you'll still be the one to blame. Before we continue, make sure to take a glance over to our Discord in the description below. Check it out because we regularly run giveaways there and it would be a shame to miss out on any of these. If you like our content, leave a like and hit that sub button so you never miss out on anything Wild Rift again. More than that, for most players, it's neither fun nor helpful to grow being forced to always play the same champions. Yes, you can pick a lot of the champions in very specific situations, but more than most of the time, you'll be forced to pick the champion with the strongest stats available. Why would you willingly gravitate towards picking Master Yi over literally any other champion? In addition to that, once you pick a champion that is considered bad, you'll instantly feel the hatred from your teammates. Try locking in Tryndamere and see what happens. Chances are that you're gonna be flamed and even worse, you're gonna get inted. In reality though, it's very possible to win with any champion. However, it's going to be way more difficult than with the current meta champions. Just picture yourself playing out of your mind and your entire play gets voided simply for the fact that your champion is weak and one mistake will lead to a painful and agonizing death. Being presented with such a drudgery will sure make you lean towards easier and better champions, cause why not? Why would you willingly put yourself through that painful experience of playing other champions apart from potentially enjoying their kit? More so, we believe that your growth as a player is stifled simply for the fact that you're only playing very few select champions. Because yet again, what is the actual incentive of playing other champions than the more established ones? We also tackled this issue of how Toxicity is ruining Wild Rift in another video, and you're more than welcome to check that out. It'll definitely be worth your time. Right now, we're curious about what you think, and with that, we reach our question of the day. How would you tackle the problem with diversity in Wild Rift? Let us know in the comments down below. Another issue that feeds into the entire cycle is itemization as a whole. For now, there's no real answer for ADC to build up any magic resistance that's actually meaningful outside of Spirit Visage, which is greatly undervalued. Most players will default by buying Mauled Mortius, however, that's a huge trap. Keep in mind items such as Infinity Orb exist that increases damage once you're at your threshold. That unfortunately is the HP value where the Maw activates. Now think about an Evelynn with that orb casting her ultimate ability. What is your Maw gonna change? Do you think that your 350 magic shield is gonna be saving you from the 1.5k execute? No, you're dead, like me inside. The next issue in itemization leads us to the support role. It has been the established meta to rush your boot enchantment for a long time now. And don't get me wrong, it grants the support role a super cheap and super efficient way of impacting the game early on. However, with the release of Sunfire Aegis, we've come to a crucial point in the game. Champions such as Alistar and Leona can simply build this immense stack stick, sit inside your team for an eternity. They're not only durable, but they're also able to deal an absurd amount of damage over time. But what is the alternative for an enchanter? The only item that comes to mind would be Rod of Ages, because it's by far the most broken item in terms of stats for its price. However, with the way support is designed as a role, you'll lose out a lot of value for your team. The combination of Redemption and Ardent Censer is simply invaluable for a team fight. There is simply no available alternative to this combination of items. It's simply too strong, or alternatives are just too weak. Rushing a completed item on the support over the enchantment feels like you're just griefing your team, and every subsequent item after the Censer only feels nice if you're ahead as a team. More than that, a lot of players think that enchanters are not the most gruesome bullies in lane. Due to the way the game develops very early on and how weak and isolated enchanter is, many players don't realize that they can absolutely be terrorizing melee supports in lane, which mostly comes from the issue that they haven't played against these champions enough because it requires far better positioning and micromanagement than their melee peers. Meaning you have to put in more effort to learn these champions than compared to the melee alternative. Another thing that comes to mind from the League of Legends PC but hasn't been seen much light in Wild Rift yet, the ability to flex pick champions. With a far more diverse selection of viable champions, you can also opt out into many champions that are playable on multiple roles at once. But with that idea, you can also bait the enemy into picking a champion that is good against your pick, but you can also simply swap lanes with a teammate. For now, we may primarily see Corki and Galio being available as flex picks. Corki may even be played in 3 different roles. He may be played on the Baron, middle, and Dragon lane. Due to him being a ranged champion with an innate gap closer, he can simply survive most of his matchups in any position. More than that, he's also a champion that doesn't require too many resources from the team thanks to being a hyperscaling ability-based marksman. On the other hand, with Galio, we can see him being played as either a mid laner or as a support. So if you don't want the enemy team to pick Katarina at any cost, you may lock in Galio and see what happens after. This way you may guarantee your mid laner the chance to pick Katarina themselves. Trust me, no Katarina wants to play into a Galio. It's just horrible. I personally think that this can add a lot of value in terms of skill to the game. Because for now, draft is mostly instant lock the best available champion for your role and see what comes after. There is not much thought of utilizing such flex strategies as of now. With the new champions on the horizon, we hope that they're not locked into one specific position and may be picked in such flex purposes. By increasing diversity and the overall amount of available champions, we might start moving towards a functional implementation of a ban system. For now, we're unable to get rid of the most obnoxious champions. Just imagine a world with just one available ban for each team. Trust me, most of the time you'd see 3 champions that people want gone. First would be Katarina, second would be Lee Sin, and third probably Evelynn. I don't think anyone apart from the players that main these champions would actually be too upset to see these permanently banned. In a solo queue environment, these champions are just way too strong, and there's no real available counterplay for most of what they're trying to do. What is the counterplay for an ADC against an Evelynn? Yeah, buy Maw. But oh wait, just that doesn't save you from having to invest 2 item slots in order to deal with 1 champion. It's kind of absurd. Consequently, we need faster balanced patch cycles, and balancing that isn't solely based on statistics, but also on opinions of very high elo players. The ban feature would also impact one-tricks a lot. You can't simply just lock in the most broken champion every single patch and inflate your ego. Thanks to the bans, you'd be forced to widen your champion pool and as a consequence, improve as a player. Being good as a meta slave doesn't really make you that good of a player. We've seen this a lot in the League PC. You extend the ranks quite fast, and then you hit a wall due to your champion becoming more contested or banned. A good player that understands the principle and core concepts of the gameplay may be able to play a champion to a decent level, whereas players that is only playing 1 champion lacks that ability, especially if that champion is just flavor of the month. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with maining a champion. In fact, we kind of recommend this if you want to climb the ranks fast, but make sure you expand your pool of champions so that way you could kind of have a diversity of picks. Which right now is a little bit difficult because we lack diversity. But you just can't abuse the meta picks over and over again because once they get nerfed, what are you going to be left with? You see, that's the problem. There's not a lot of picks that you can actually choose, so you're kind of left with no choice. Our coaches personally don't think it's just a correct representation of skill, and it should be addressed sometime soon. With Wild Rift being such a young game though, it's very likely that we're going to be seeing a lot of changes to its rank system over the course of the game. The last thing I'm going to be talking about isn't necessarily tied to diversity, but still a huge misconception in Wild Rift. In nearly all elos, you'll see that your team values Dragon far way higher than they're actually worth. Yes, they are a permanent buff to your champion and surely help you out by making you stronger. Nevertheless, they're not going to win or lose you the game by default. Sadly enough, you'll still see a huge amount of games being surrendered after losing the first Dragon. Why though? you can still win by playing the game properly. By that, I mean that everything the enemy team does, you need to have a proper response for your repertoire. Unable to get a dragon? Okay, that's okay. Just take something else on the other side of the map. More than that, positively reinforce your team that the game is still winnable and that you're strong enough that you're going to be able to carry. In addition to that, all objectives apart from Elder Dragon and Baron feel rather weak. Yet again, they're surely going to make you stronger, but if you're not in a position to contest either of them, you're not going to be losing out on too much. Compared to that, the Elder Dragon and the Baron feels overtuned. Their buffs simply grant too much. Even if you lost all dragons prior to the Elder Dragon, you're still able to have an immense buff that is absolutely game-changing and most likely enhances your damage by so much that you're going to win the next fight with ease. So in a sense, we would also appreciate some diversity and some importance in getting those smaller objectives. And with that, we'll be concluding today's video on why Wild Rift needs more diversity. Hope you guys liked the video and thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to check out our Discord as well as replying to our question of the day in the comments down below. And if you never want to miss out on anything Wild Rift again, hit that sub button and we'll see you guys next time. And as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and have a wonderful day. Peace.